What's this? A letter for me.
Welcome to another episode of Remember the Great Sports Through the Mail Thursdays. Today I'm going to share with you 3 recent returns that I got back in the mail and profile each of the individuals that signed autographs for me. So let's jump right into this. And the first one is postmarked from California. It is a return from 1960s era player pitcher Ted Bowsfield on 1, 2, 3, and 4. So let me tell you about Ted Bowsfield and his career in baseball. Ted Bowsfield, a 6'1" left-handed pitcher, grew up in British Columbia, Canada. So Ted was born in nearby Vernon, British Columbia. However, he grew up in an area called Penticton, and I apologize if I'm saying that wrong, and this would later get him the nickname the Penticton Peach. Well, there wasn't a lot of baseball to be played, and Ted actually excelled at hockey, track and field, and basketball. And growing up, his father used to pile him and his 8 other teammates in his old vehicle and would drive to nearby villages and cities and areas to play against other kids around his age. Well, as he progressed as a left-handed pitcher, his arm strength got stronger, and he started playing at just 15 years old against men, so developed people in their early 20s. Well, this got the notice of a couple people while he was in the high school age. The Boston Red Sox, of all places, noticed him in British Columbia and signed him to a $4,000 contract. So Ted would work his way at just 19 years old in 1954 for the Boston Red Sox Class C affiliate. He would work his way up through their minor league system, and in 1958 he would post an 8-4 record in 19 games in AAA and would get a call to the major leagues. On July 20th, 1958, Ted Bowsfield would make his major league debut against the Detroit Tigers, where he would pitch in 1 inning and give up just 1 hit. So almost a clean frame with the exception of that hit. He would finish out the year in 1958 with the club, appearing in 16 games and posting a 4-2 record. In 1959, there were some big expectations for Ted, and unfortunately he struggled in his sophomore season, and in just 5 games his ERA was 15. Yikes. So he went back down to the minor leagues to develop his craft, and in 26 games posted a 10-5 record that year in AAA. Well, he would start out the year in 1960 with the Red Sox. He would appear in just 17 games with their big league club, and then they would decide to trade him to the Cleveland Indians. He would finish out that 1960 season with the Indians. However, the Indians would not protect him and would actually be drafted by the Los Angeles Angels in the 1960 expansion draft. Well, with the Angels in 1961, he would be on their major league roster. He would actually put together a pretty solid season despite it being, an expansion team. He would post 11 wins and 8 losses in 41 games, with 21 of those games being started. So not bad for an expansion team, that's for sure. The following year in 1962, he would appear in 34 games, and his record would slip down to 9-8 that following year. Well, after that 62 season, the Angels decided to trade him to the Kansas City A's. Well, with the A's, he actually would appear in 41 games, primarily as a relief pitcher, and would post a 5-7 record in that 1963 season. In 1964, he would have a similar record of 4-7, but he would appear in 50 games that year as opposed to 41. By the time 1965 rolled around, the A's didn't have a spot on their roster anymore, and he had some issues. Arm issues, and he actually would split time between 7 games between the St. Louis Cardinals, the Los Angeles Dodgers, and the Kansas City A's. Well, after Ted Bowsfield retired as a player, he would work briefly for the Los Angeles Angels in their front office. I'm not really sure what he did after he worked in the front office, but he does live in the California area still to this day. But I can tell you he was elected to the Canadian Baseball Hall of Fame. So he's a member of the Canadian Baseball Hall of Fame, and Ted had a pretty solid career. for being discovered in Canada. You don't see that very often. And for his career, he appeared in 86 games as a major league pitcher, posting a 37 and 39 record and a 4.35 ERA as a lefty. So I want to thank Mr. Bowsfield for signing these for me, and we'll move on to the next return. All right, so this next one is postmarked from Louisiana, and it is a return from another left-handed pitcher. I guess we're going to call this lefty specialist video. And this is from former lefty George Stone on 1, 2, 3, and 4. So we got 2 as a Atlanta Brave and 2 as a New York Met. So let me tell you about George Stone and his career in baseball. George Stone, a Louisiana native, was born in Louisiana, and he actually attended high school in Ruston, Louisiana. This is the same school that also had Burt Jones, the famous quarterback of the Colts, also went to his high school. He was one of those guys that was a multi-sport athlete. However, baseball was kind of a secondary thought for him. Well, his athletic prowess would actually get him an opportunity to play at Louisiana Tech University. He would play under a basketball scholarship, actually, and he would also play on the baseball team. Well, he excelled on the hardwood, but he also was noticed in 1966 when he posted a sparkling 1.49 ERA and pitched a no-hitter in that 1966 baseball season for Louisiana Tech. These accomplishments were certainly noticed by the Atlanta Braves, and the Atlanta Braves selected Stone with the 5th pick in the 1966 amateur draft out of Louisiana Tech. He was assigned to the Class A Kingston affiliate of the Carolina League as the youngest player on the team. Stone compiled a record of 8-2 with a 2.25 ERA in 80 innings for the Braves minor league affiliate that year. The following spring, Jones' strong Grapefruit League performance made an equally strong impression on management, such that when righty ace Tony Cloninger was sidelined by injury in the early season, the club immediately promoted the 20-year-old lefty to the major leagues. However, Stone did not make an appearance before being assigned to the minors. Stone would spend the majority of that 1967 season in the minor leagues for the Braves. He posted an impressive 8-5 record with a 2.88 ERA. The Braves took notice and rewarded the 21-year-old with a call-up to the major leagues, and he made his major league debut on September 5th, 1967. Well, in just a third of an inning, George gave up 3 hits and gave up 3 earned runs. So he didn't exactly light the majors on fire. He would get another shot at another game and would get a start. And he would actually get his ERA down to just 4.91, but he would get a no decision in that game. So the record books closed on the 1967 season. He appeared in 2 games. One was pretty solid. The other one was not. So 1968 rolled around. George split time between their minor league affiliate and also the major leagues. He would appear in 10 games in the minor leagues, but would appear in 17 games for the Braves at just 21 years old. His ERA was exceptional with a 2.76 ERA, posting a 7-4 record. 1969 rolled around. George was just 22 years old, and the Braves decided to make him a spot relief starter type, and he appeared in 36 games, starting 20 of them for the Braves, posting a 13-10 record. 1970 through 1972 were a lot of the same. He would be a bullpen guy and a starter. However, he would start more games in the 71 and 72 season, and his record would dip to just 6-8 and 6-11, respectively, in those 2 years. After the 72 season concluded, the Atlanta Braves decided to trade him with Felix Millan to the New York Mets for Danny Frizella and Gary Gentry. Well, this would prove to be an important move by the Mets because the 73 Mets not only would get Felix Millan, but George Stone would turn his career around. George would be working out of the bullpen to start the year with the Mets, but he would post a 12-3 record in 27 games with the Mets, helping march them to the World Series that year in 1973. Well, after that 73 season, George returned to the Mets in 1974, but he just couldn't match the numbers that he had in 1973. In 15 games, his ERA went above 5, and his record wound up being just 2-7. 1975 rolled around, and it was more of the same. He was battling some injuries, appeared in 13 games. After that 74 season was cut short due to an injury, he made a comeback. But after those 13 games, the Mets decided to package him in a deal that sent him to the Texas Rangers right before the 1976 season. Well, the Rangers decided that despite trading Bill Hands to the Mets for George, the Rangers did not have a spot on their roster and wanted to option George to the minor leagues. Well, George decided at the age of 29 he didn't want to go back to the minor leagues, and he retired from baseball as a player and never appeared in a game for the Texas Rangers. In total in his career, Stone won 60 games and lost 57, so almost a 500 pitcher. He had 590 strikeouts, but his ERA was just 3.89, so his ERA was below 4, and over 1,000 innings pitched. He actually wasn't a bad hitter at all as well, as he posted a lifetime .212 batting average with 1 home run and 39 RBIs, which is pretty solid for a pitcher during that era. After retirement, George moved back to his native Louisiana. He finished his degree in physical education and actually became a teacher at a high school and also a coach, doing coaching baseball throughout the rest of his adulthood until he retired permanently, I'm assuming, from his education years as well. So I want to thank George for signing for me. He was a pretty good ball player for especially the 1973 Mets, and I want to move on to the next return. All right, so I said this already, but this is going to be the lefty specialist video, so we're just going to coin that term. But I also wrote another left-handed pitcher, and that is Gerry Arrigo. And these are some kind of cool SPC cards, these are TCMAs actually. So this is the TCMA 1960s set, and I have 2 cards of him as a twin. So let me tell you about Gerry Arrigo and his career in baseball. So Gerald Arrigo, so that's why I'm calling him Gerry, because Gerald is actually his first name, and you can see that they actually spelled his name wrong on this card with a J, but he goes by Gerry with a G, so that's kind of unique. He was also a left-handed pitcher, grew up in the Chicago area, and actually was a graduate of Harrison Technical High School. His hometown Chicago White Sox actually signed him originally to a pro contract, but after just 1 season in their Class D affiliate in the Midwest League, he was selected by the Twins in the first-year player draft. So he would spend most of that 1961 season playing for the Twins. His record would just be 3-8 between 2 stops in the minor leagues in 30 games. However, the Twins, desperate for pitching, decided to call him up, and he made his major league debut on June 12, 1961. Well, I wish I could say that this was a storybook season for Gerry. However, he was roughed up in his first outing on June 12th, where he just lasted 1 1/3 innings, giving up 3 hits and 3 earned runs with 2 walks. Well, things didn't get much better for Gerry, as he would get a couple starts that season in 1961 at 20 years old, but he would finish the year with a 0-1 win-loss record and an ERA of 10.24. Well, obviously the Twins decided, hey, this guy needs a little more time in the minor leagues, so in 1962 they sent him down to their AAA affiliate. He posted a little better record, posting a 6-10 record in the minor leagues, appearing in 27 games, but the key was he got his ERA down to 3.43. Well, again, he was rewarded with a spot appearance in the major leagues in 62, but this time he appeared in just 1 game and his ERA ballooned to 18 that season. So, again, 1963 was him going back to the minor leagues to get better, but this time when he got called up to the major leagues, this is when Gerry made an impact. He just got a small sample of 5 games, but his ERA was down to 2.87 and he posted a 1-2 record. The next year in 1964, Gerry would appear in 41 games for the Major League club at just 23 years old, posting a 7-4 record with a 3.84 ERA. Despite finally getting over that hump and becoming a very effective relief pitcher in the majors, after the 64 season, the Twins decided to trade him to the Cincinnati Reds for Cesar Tovar. Well, at the Reds, he immediately made an impact, appeared in 27 games for them in 1965, posting a 2-4 record. However, his ERA ballooned to over 6. The next year, in 1966, he would appear in just 3 games for the Reds that year, while he spent some time in the minor leagues battling some injuries. So he would start out the 1966 season with the Cincinnati Reds. However, the Reds decided to trade him to the Mets, and he would appear in 17 games for the Mets that year. But the irony of it is, the Mets would then send him back to the Cincinnati Reds, and he would actually finish the year with the Reds. So if you follow that, he went to the Mets for a couple months, basically, and then the Reds brought him back to Cincinnati. Well, I guess Gerry really liked Cincinnati, because the next year, in 1967, he appeared in 32 games for them, splitting his record at 6-6 with a 3.16 ERA. From 1968 and 9, he would work out of their bullpen as well as be a starter. He would be a starter primarily in 1968, posting a 12-10 record, again posting a solid ERA of 3.33 in 36 games for the Reds. 1969, he would split time between the bullpen and as a starter. And after that 69 season, the Reds would part ways with him again and trade him to the Chicago White Sox. Well, at the age of 29, Gerry joined the White Sox. However, he had some struggles with them, and they actually wound up sending him down to the minor leagues that year. And he would split time in the majors in 1970 between the White Sox and their AAA affiliate. The White Sox did let him go after that season ended, and he actually signed with the Atlanta Braves, trying to make a comeback in 1971. Well, he did not have too much success with the Braves in the majors. As a matter of fact, they didn't utilize him in the majors, and he appeared in just 3 games in their minor league affiliate before he decided to hang it up. So I'm not really sure what Gerry wound up doing after his playing career. The postmark is from Cincinnati, so I'm assuming he bought a home while he was playing there, and he stayed in it for many years, and that's where he's retired now. The one thing I do want to point out before I wrap up the video is Gerry actually requires a small fee, $1, I think I gave him for all of these. So if you are going to write Gerry, make sure you give him a little cash donation. I think you can justify giving somebody from his era $1, you know, if you do write him, but he gives you a nice, beautiful signature. As you can see, I really like these 1960s TCMA cards. They look great signed, so I'm very happy to add Gerry to the collection. I'm also, again, very happy to add George Stone to the collection as well. I'm very happy to add Ted Bowsfield to the collection. So I actually, when I was doing this video and selecting the guys that I was going to put in the video, I did not mean to do this as a lefty specialist video. It just kind of, that was the stack I made, and I'm like, wow, all these guys are left-handed pitchers. So very happy to add all these lefty specialists to the collection. I hope you learned a little bit about some guys you may not have been aware of that played in the 1960s and early 70s. Look forward to your comments below. And as always, happy collecting.